Thank you to Huel for sponsoring this video. More on them in just a bit.
Coy, how are you feeling?
A little frazzled. My summer is abundant, which is a good problem, but a problem nonetheless. How are you?
I'm okay, right? I'm very much in a weird, funky headspace the past few days.
That's what New York does to you. You see the other side and you come back and both are stressful.
Yeah, if I'm being totally honest with you, I had a meeting with my psychiatrist just yesterday when I was telling you about
The follow-up to what we talked about?
Yeah, I might have BDP, and I was going through some of like my what I normally do, and I was like, there's something that's been kind of like gnawing at my brain, and I'm like, is this an unhealthy thing? And I wasn't educated on it. You know those like blue shots I was taking, those like kava shots?
Yeah.
So apparently there's this thing in there called kratom.
Yeah, you shouldn't have too much kratom, dude.
I didn't know what it was.
It makes your joints feel funny.
And I found myself taking like a focus kratom, which was helping.
Sure.
It helped shift the state. And then I found myself like taking it almost every single day for like the past few months.
I would posit you as someone who used to smoke, like, you know, religiously to like, I wouldn't recommend that substance.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I have a habit of switching one addiction.
That's what I was implying.
I do.
Vices for vices.
1,000%. Like I went from like the main, before it was like I'm popping extra Adderall when I was on Adderall. And then I started, then I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking cigarettes. Then I started smoking e-cigarettes. You knew me then. I was like, I was vaping all the time. And then afterwards I was chewing nicotine gum all the time. Now I'm chewing regular gum constantly. And
the vaping was the only thing that worried me because I felt like you knew it was bad for you. And then when you changed to gum, I was like, yay. But then like anything could be. But
now my gums now hurt. My teeth now hurt. And so I was talking with my psychiatrist, who's also a therapist. It's kind of rare, but he's a psychiatrist and a DBT therapist, dialect behavioral therapist. And yeah, I brought that up because I'm like, this is kind of itching me. He was telling me like how really bad it is. And I was like researching it a lot, and we were researching it together.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I developed an addiction to it.
It's highly addictive.
Like, and I just didn't know.
Sure.
I was kind of like naive or ignorant, or when I bought it, it was like at a health store.
Yeah.
Base. So I was like, oh,
that's
cool.
how they get you.
Yeah.
It's in a store with a lot of green. It's got to be good.
And it's been, whatever the last time Tara got COVID, that's when I started taking like half a bottle, and it says like, don't exceed half a bottle. And I started exceeding half a bottle.
And more than once a week.
I said, don't exceed a full bottle.
Right.
And I was like, oh, as long as I don't exceed one bottle, damn, fine.
Yeah.
But I started noticing, like, yeah, I am noticing that I kind of feel like I need, like, I was normally taking it because I feel like I need to be on, I need to film. And I wasn't taking it on days I wasn't filming, which is rare. It was only like one day a week I'm not filming. But when I was in New York, I found myself wanting to take it. Then I started becoming really questionable because I was taking it every day in New York. I'm like, have I developed like an addiction to this?
Yeah.
And apparently it's like getting off of it is equivalent to like getting off of opioids.
It's your body will probably have like side
withdrawals.
effects. Yeah. And so your mood's going to be garbage. I'm going to warn you now. Yeah. And then you're also probably going to have like, not like full shakes, but like if your body does weird like be aware of it. Don't not look into it, but also don't be alarmed. You know what I mean? Like be aware without being like freaked out. Like you might have a little handshakes and stuff. Like it's a rough one.
I was told that I could taper off to like from a full bottle, half a bottle. I haven't taken any today. And I'm thinking of just tapering off, but I want to just kind of see what happens.
I mean, I once every 6 months stop everything I'm doing to see if I like have developed. I'm a very addictive person. Like,
yeah, me too.
Personally. So like I stop coffee every 6 months to make sure it's still a thing that I'm handling well. I stop drinking every 6 months. I stop all my stuff because I'm always afraid of like one day being like, oh, I'm fiending. Oh no. And like, so for me personally, like I have had friends get addicted to stuff like kratom and kratom itself. And I've always been like leery of anything that, you know, if it has a bottle recommendation. But that's not to plug because they're not a sponsor of this. But that's why I like Magic Mind because it gives me that same.
That's what's in my, this is Liquid IV and Magic Mind.
I'm not even kidding.
It here.
They did not say me to say this, but that really helped me with when I pull off coffee, I supplement that. And then like there are times I don't even do that because I'm trying to make sure. But like, I have found Magic Mind is good as a supplement, like a methadone. Like if I was trying to not have kratom, I would try a little extra Magic Mind or a little more caffeine. So your body's like at least got something stimulating it because it's a stimulant. It's just a different kind of stimulant.
But that's the problem with me is I get I feel like I need stimulants to function. It's been like that.
I know I do.
Been like that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've replaced one thing for, even when it comes to my weight loss, it was like, I'm going to become I got fat. I'm going to get a six pack.
I'm addicted to fries. I'm addicted to not fries.
Yeah, it's like, while people see me as like, oh, you're healthy, which externally, yeah, like, and I am healthier in a lot of ways, but I'm like, I also have these like other terrible.
But addictions are unhealthy.
And
you can be addicted to
terrible
the gym.
things I'm doing in my brain and body apparently that I wasn't fully aware of, or I was in denial of it. I'm trying to just not be in denial about it right now.
I think success kind of breeds that too, and I think successful people are often addicts. And I've actually thought about this a lot with Hollywood.
It's the pressure to stay on.
Yeah, and like it's also like a company is infinite growth, right? When you look at like quarterly stock yields and like companies are like gotta show growth. I feel like we, like you and I particularly, are like, am I better than last quarter? And like we turn ourselves into that infinite growth business, and sometimes that leads to addiction of good things or bad things or both. But I always have to cut myself off trying that because I'm afraid of the same thing.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how I am by tonight. Because I don't know. Like, since I woke up, I've been like, oh my god, do I have chills? Do I have? Like,
don't overthink it. Then you will. Like psychosomatically, you're like.
Racing thoughts is a real problem of mine, and I'm already like, oh my god, now I'm already getting like myself paranoid. Like, am I withdrawing right now?
I'd just be aware of like overhydrate. Like I would try to overhydrate, and I would try to have stimulants that your body likes. And in my case, that's caffeine and Magic Mind.
I mean, I did the math, and if I drink 4 to 5 of these, it's a gallon of water.
That's great.
So I'm on
because that also flush your system of like.
I have to clean out my liver, is what it is.
Yeah, like you need to get your body like.
To do a liver detox.
Milk thistle's good too, dude. Milk thistle's good for your liver and kidneys.
Anyway, we can answer the Patreon cues after. That's our warm up. Hey, welcome to the podcast. Real Rejects podcast. Greg has an addiction and he's working on it right now. But that's the thing is, before I feel like I'm just kind of in this phase in my life where I've become way more honest easily over the past few years about my movies and show opinions. That's not a problem to me. But it's this other stuff where I'm like, I kind of feel like I do hide it. Sure. And then it becomes a secrecy thing that builds up. And then before you know it, I'm like, oh crap, now I'm depending on this to be active. It happened with our Superman trailer reaction. It's like, it's to feel normal. I need it. That's what I realized.
The baseline.
That's what I realized is the problem. It's not like jacking me up or getting me like freaking. It's like, oh, now I feel like I normally function. Yeah.
That's me with coffee. Like I have to quit coffee because I'll take like, 4 or 5 cups in the morning and be like, okay, now ready to start the day. And everybody else will be like, and like my baseline is way too high. But the best feeling is when you quit the addiction and you look back and go, like that feeling of like accomplished, like social media right now for me. Like I was so addicted to social media. Now when I log on to Instagram or Twitter and I look at the little notifications, they don't give me a rush. Yeah. And it makes me feel so good that those dumb little like numbers used to mean so much to me. And now I'm like, that feels great. So the day that you're like, I don't have any need of this thing, it's going to be like, hell yeah. But until then, it's going to suck.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really just being cautious of I'm not trying not to supplement one addiction for another, because that tends to be what I do. Yeah. Because I am very extreme. I'm an extreme guy, which has helped me to like turn a thing that was supposed to be a thing to get me into the newspaper to a full company now. Right. So yeah, it's like.
But you can also be obsessed with like cold turkey. Like I know people that get addicted to like, I'm so good at straight edgeness, and then it's like another form. So just mindfulness.
Yeah. And a big part of what's been helping me be honest is the fact that I've been doing this podcast with John, which I haven't aired anything for. It's going to be on with Impact Collaborative, and it's called Real Rejects Diaries. We are converting Diary Reject to that, and it's very much just a very honest conversation. And by the way, happy birthday, John. Thanks for being here.
Working on his birthday.
Hey, happy to be here with you guys.
Greg texted first. I commented on TikTok first. Mine was much more millennial.
I will have to log into my now defunct TikTok and find it.
Well, it's the Real Rejects post, so I'm on there. I made sure I was first. I was very excited about it.
Thank you, Coy.
Thank you, brother, for being here on a day like this. Thank you, man.
No problem.
What are we at on the time?
9:09.
This is what gets me paranoid. I'm like, ooh, this would be an interesting opening for the podcast. The producer,
no one watches it.
I'm going, but will people like just stop, like click off and be like, what is this? Even though the next hour is going to be exactly the topic that people are showing up for.
I experimented last week. It didn't work out, Greg. I was like, I'm so excited. I'm going to take charge and I'm going to do a summer movie preview because that's my favorite magazine of the year. Crickets. We got like the smallest viewership to date.
And there's a couple of things I would have retooled on presentation wise in order to try to help bring that up. But sometimes I act like I know what I'm doing when I really don't.
But you know what you're doing, Greg.
Anyway, let's get into into it, Coy. Let's get into it because we had our at the day of filming this yesterday. We had a final Superman trailer, and the Superman pre-sale tickets went up. Leave a like on this video, please. The Superman pre-sale tickets went up. They already had the Prime Video one where you can get an early screening, which I think is a great sign. When Warner Brothers does that, they did that for Shazam 1, not Shazam 2. But when they did that for Shazam 1, that was a sign that they have a lot of faith this one will be a good movie. And Warner Brothers is one of the more consistent ones to do that, right?
I think of them as doing that when they're like a bold swing, like Center screened early.
I don't think they should do that anymore. Because when they don't do it, I feel like it's
then we're like, wait a second.
This must be a
what
bad
are they
movie.
hiding? That's true. It is a read. Like you can definitely tell their thoughts on it there.
Yeah, exactly.
They started the press tour for 28 years later really early.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly.
So that's a good sign.
Exactly. Are they Warner Brothers?
Isn't it?
I don't feel like they are.
Is it Sony?
I think they're Sony. Pretty sure they're Sony.
Unrelated.
Well, with Superman,
F1
28
started
weeks
screening
later
early. That's
is,
what it was.
oh God, it's not at the top of the page.
But F1 started screening early because they've been on a world press tour.
No, it's Sony Pictures. That's it. We were just
chaos.
talking about
Everyone chaos.
what do you know? The first thing I wanted to point out with this is we got so many most of our questions were about Superman. We put out community posts and Patreon posts, and you guys have made my life much easier because I was putting this together about 30 minutes ago, and I was like, oh, okay, this is really focused on the main topic at hand. So thank you, and we just want to attend to what you guys want us to talk about. The first thing I wanted to point out, though, which I thought was really cool, is did you see what Pedro Pascal shared?
No.
He shared this fan art of Superman, and I'll pull up the post for you so you can see it. I think it's really cool that he shared. It's a fan art.
Oh, I love that. That's so wholesome. Super fantastic. That's the summer, man.
And the fact that it was Mr. Fantastic himself, and this fan art is great, by the way. This is a really cool fan art. Secondly, it's Marvel and DC, the faces of the movies.
Yeah.
And to show that camaraderie and support when Marvel and DC are the thing that is constantly pitted against each other as who is better, who will dominate. And I understand why that happens, but this is a time where we need unity in the theaters. If there's one thing, it might sound like a sideline here. If there's one thing I have really absorbed from Tom Cruise over the promotional run for Mission Impossible is how much he supports movies in general.
Talked about Ballerina at Mission Impossible.
Did he?
Yeah, he talked about how excited he was to see Ballerina and that it was coming out soon thereafter.
Even the fact that in CinemaCon, it seemed like an improv. Like he deviated to talk about F1.
Yeah.
And be like, Brad
did the
Top
Gun, and Brad, like he was hyped for it himself. You could feel it.
But he has no personal involvement in it. And yeah, promoting Sinners and stuff, he's promoting movies in general.
Actively promoted Sinners.
And so to bring it down to a more focused, nebulous, it would be that Marvel and DC cross-promoting each other.
Yeah.
Probably one of the smartest maneuvers they can do right now.
James Gunn did promotion for Fantastic Four. James, when they were talking about like the movies eating themselves, he's like, no, it comes out 2 weeks after us. Plenty of time for people to see our film. I'm excited to see Fantastic Four. I hope people do too. So like James Gunn, who directed one of them, also came out and said like, no, see the other one too.
But sometimes though, when in my brain, I'm not saying this is the case, in my brain, sometimes I receive it as they're being asked a question, so they're being polite, and they're saying the pleasant things so they don't look bad.
It wasn't
when
on
really
a carpet,
they
it
are
was
competing.
online. He could have ignored it.
That's my point. So when I see Pedro Pascal share that, that's a really good unity thing for the audience to latch onto, hopefully, even though people will still pit against each other.
Yeah.
That's like with YouTubers even. They'll do a bunch of collabs, or they'll still pit against each other.
I always say it's not a Marvel store or a comic store. I mean, or a DC comic store. It's a comic store. Like when you go to the theater, you're not going to the Disney theater or the Sony theater. You're going to the theater. So
Yeah.
I don't think we should have this tribalism.
No, not anymore. It has to end.
Yeah.
It has to end, especially if the theaters are going to survive, because you can't just rely on we need 1 to 2 movies a year to do really well.
We cannot count on the rest of the year like white knuckling through the fall. Can't anymore.
We need a consistency.
Yeah.
And so we need a whole collective of people, studios being willing to share in that. We were talking about in the talk of, infinite business, infinite growth and stuff. That is the industry. That is the movie business. So this to me is a sign of something that can be bigger and more prosperous. And they would just elevate both of their companies, and they probably both do better, and then everyone wins. And it's okay if everyone wins.
I also think down the line they're going to cross over. So it's good to start doing this now. Because
Yeah.
how do you go bigger than Doomsday and Secret Wars? Oh, you have a little crossover with the director of that movie that did Guardians, who's now doing Superman.
Doom versus Batman.
It's coming. Something like that's coming.
Let's get it going. Okay, well, thanks for letting me spin on that.
Not anytime soon, by the way. I'm saying like long game.
We got a question here from Mark. He says, how do you all feel about the Superman pre-sales doing good? And do you all think Fantastic Four pre-sales will increase as well? So to give a little bit of additional context, according to multiple sources, the film has broken Fandango's record for the first best day ticket pre-seller of 2025, surpassing all other films this year, including Marvel's The Fantastic Four, which previously held the record for first day pre-sales. The high demand for early access screenings reportedly crashed Fandango's website, indicating significant audience enthusiasm. Apparently, the pre-sales for after that have also surpassed Fantastic Four.
Because Fantastic Four crashed a bunch of sites too, I remember hearing.
It looks like Superman's going to be the biggest movie of the year.
Great sign that the number 1 and number 2 are Superman and Fantastic Four for our culture. Like, I think that's a really good sign that July is what I thought it was going to be, where Jurassic is going to sneak up on us and somehow make $1 billion like it always does. And then it looks like Superman will as well, and Fantastic Four is likely to. I could see it being a $3 billion month. And that's so exciting. Oh, yeah. I could see it not clearing $1 billion by like the end of the month because Fantastic Four is coming out right at the end of the month. But I think 3 movies that debut in July might make $1 billion this year.
I feel like Fantastic Four and Superman will make $1 billion, or Fantastic Four could come close to.
Yeah, I think Fantastic Four is like about 900 million in my heart.
First off, Marvel needs it.
Sure.
They need it. They really do.
Thunderbolts should have done better.
Thunderbolts did not make its money back.
No, and it's great, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those where it's like it came out and word of mouth was bad. Word of mouth was great, and it still didn't.
Word of mouth was so good on it. It is one where I have had to mute a lot because I was I didn't do that with Captain America: Brave New World, and still didn't get spoiled. But I did over Thunderbolts. I'm like, I'm so worried about what's in that, whatever's in that. I still don't know the post-credit scene. I have no clue what the post-credit scene is, and I've been really good about it. Yet it's that weird contrast where I look online and I feel like it's a massive hit. Just like when I look on Twitter and I feel like everyone hates Superman.
Sure.
But then
you're like, oh, wait, the toys are selling out. Pre-sale tickets are huge.
Yeah, exactly. The view counts on the trailers are so consistent. Like with Jurassic World Rebirth, I saw it, I think today. The first trailer got 40 million views. Official trailer 2 got 5 million views or something.
Both of those numbers are lower than I would have expected. Even the first.
Really? I mean, look at the drop off though.
The drop off
first to second.
I'm surprised the drop off is from that low of a first trailer number.
I wonder if I'm looking at the right thing, because studios do weird things where they combine everything now. They're like, this trailer got 1 billion views. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, we're combining.
Aggregating off 17 trailer sites.
Exactly.
And we counted every time it played at AMC.
Which is fair. Honestly,
sure it is. That
it's
is
fair.
views.
It
It's
is
just
views
really
on the
funny
trailer.
how it's different
but
now.
the optics are so, you have to really factor in a
300
lot.
people sitting in a theater times 5 shows a day is 1,500 people. That's a lot of eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So beyond that, Jurassic World Rebirth, I don't feel like there's hype around it.
I feel like every Jurassic World, I'm like, this is the one that's not going to succeed. And then at the end of the summer, I'm like, made $1 billion. I don't know how it always happens. They're not that good. They're fine. I love dinosaurs. I will always be there. I'm the problem. Opening night, I'll be at Jurassic World going, man, fool me once, twice, and thrice. Here I am for a 4th suffering. And like, it'll make $1 billion.
But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom had the tease of what could happen where they leave the island and they tease Jeff Goldblum.
They all
and then Dominion is the sell on, like, they're gonna definitely be off the island, and Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill and Laura Dern are all returning, and they're gonna combine with the new cast. So there was a lot of big, exactly. There's a lot of this one. There's another hybrid mutant thing. There's nothing really big, and there's no IMAX release for this.
Oh, I might take my thing back. If they're not even confident in the IMAX, that is a confident moment. Like when you claim the IMAX theater, because it's got 9 days before Superman, which is enough time, I think, to get its major audience.
Yeah.
But maybe not $1 billion for the first time. You're right.
And that first poster they released, I thought, I'm really a judgy guy about posters. It was
But it was so bad. You're like,
one of the worst posters. The one where Scarlett Johansson is massive and the T-Rex is tiny. Like, this should be reversed.
yeah, you know we're here for dinosaurs. I love Scarlett Johansson, but it's a dinosaur franchise. My big concern is that I think they're finally going to do the thing they wanted to do with the first trilogy, where they do human-dinosaur hybrids. They've been threatening that so long. But I'm so afraid that's going to be the movie, and I'll be like,
they need to tease it, though, because I don't feel the hype around it. But like you said, it could be wrong.
It always sneaks up on me.
Fan base is huge around it. Apparently, they're weird Netflix Jurassic World animated shows, or Cretaceous, or whatever the hell it's called.
I think all three will clear.
Yes, thank you, John.
I think all three are going to clear $800 million.
Yes.
And I think that it'll be a $3 billion month by the end of the time, if not from those three films, but from those and supporting. So there's a lot of really cool, weird stuff coming out of the month, too. Like Eddington is coming out, which is the new Ari Aster film with Pedro Pascal. Okay. And then there's also Smurfs is going to be huge. Smurfs is going to surprise everybody. It's going to clear $800 million, too.
No, family films tend to do pretty well.
So, like, that's all the same month, though. I think July is going to be a blockbuster.
1,000%. I mean, Superman and Fantastic Four alone will do it. Do you feel like the pre-sales for this could help elevate Fantastic Four?
I think that it could be a 2-week spread, super fantastic, like the art. I think it could have the Barbenheimer effect, because I think 2 weeks is a sweet spot to go back and revisit. And I know I'm personally really excited to be the most. I've never had a DC Marvel double feature of new stuff to scale, like of my type of Marvel and DC. This is the first time I'm going to be able to buy a ticket to Superman and then see Fantastic Four after in 2 weeks. And I'm going to do it, I know for sure. I think 2 weeks is a perfect amount of time for someone to be like, oh, and I want to go back and see Superman while I'm here. So I think it's going to elevate that way. I think Fantastic Four is going to do great, but I think it's also going to help Superman out.
Very true. Very true.
And I think if Jurassic's decent, it might be a good day to go super Jurassic Fantastic.
Okay.
Because that'd be an awesome, 7 hours.
Absolutely.
That is literally like a 12-year-old's dream. Like, what are you doing today? Gonna watch Jurassic Park, Fantastic Four, and Superman?
Well, thanks for the question, Mark. I'm glad to see Superman's, because everything is relying on Superman, the whole universe launch.
Yeah.
No matter, Marvel's had some pretty big failures lately, and they're still going. They're still going strong, and they still got all the money to bring in Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers and a cast of 50 chairs, But Superman, in order to keep going, that's like the way Warner Brothers is running. If this movie fails, it's just like there's a scenario where they're like, well, don't release Supergirl then,
I think the Supergirl is safe. I think after that, I'd be worried. Because it's I think almost done. I don't know. I think almost done, and I think there is some lead up with Peacemaker and Lanterns. So there is a bit of runway, but I do think the stakes. I've said it before publicly. Like, I think that Superman has the highest stakes of any film, maybe in movie history, on release, because I think the superhero bubble is a different thing after Superman, if it does well or horribly.
Have you heard the big rumor about a Batman Superman movie being the next?
That's what everyone thinks James Gunn is writing.
Well, okay, yeah. So to make this clear, I had James Gunn answered a question about a secret sequel, saying what I'm working on in some way. I mean, yes, but is it a straight up? Okay, he's asked about working on a sequel. Let me say that again. I know the quote. I was confused. James Gunn's secret is if he's working on a sequel for Superman or if he's going to be doing. What I'm working on is in some way, I mean, yes, but is it a straight up Superman sequel? I would not say necessarily. So the big rumor is that it's going to be a Batman Superman movie, and instead of a BVS, it's like a Batman and Superman, more of a world's finest. So I know what you believe they're going to be doing, and I agree with what I think they're doing. Let's have some fun here.
Okay.
If it is a Batman and Superman movie, do you think that would be a good choice?
I personally think, just like I did 10 years ago, Batman should have his own movie first. Okay, we've done this, and it was too soon. It is a little bit of a different scenario, though, because we do have a multiversal Batman also ongoing. So it's not like you're introducing, Batman's origin. They didn't even have to do with the Pattinson one. It was like a year one story. We know Batman's origin so much now, for sure, in recent pop culture, that even new universes aren't doing it. I could see a universe where they want to make sure they establish a different Batman by putting him in a Superman movie first. But that's what they tried to do with Ben Affleck. And I do feel like that hurt the film, because I didn't feel like tonally it benefited Superman to have a sequel that wasn't just a Superman sequel. I think Man of Steel 2 would have been nice before BVS. But I also don't feel like it helped Ben Affleck because I would have wanted a Ben Affleck Batman movie more than most things. And we never got it because of the way the trajectory went. I don't think World's Finest makes sense. But I do think that if you're building a universe where everything's already established, the quote came out this week that there's been metahumans for 300 years. If there's been metahumans for 300 years, I could see Batman already being formed and therefore making that part of the conversation. So it is less daunting than other scenarios. I still would prefer it be my Mr. Terrific pitch because I do think James starts writing, like look at the Christmas special. Like Guardians Christmas special is clearly a labor of love of discovering Mantis and wanting to write more with Drax and Mantis. I feel like the way Mr. Terrific has been in the comics the last 5 years, I feel like what James is going to do with Mr. Terrific, I feel like Eddie Gathagi as a man, as an actor, as a comic fan, and as a collaborator, that's going to be the sweet spot. So I would still double down on hopefully a Mr. Terrific movie.
I think you'll have the Peacemaker effect.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's more.
That spun out of the Suicide Squad. That's a great parallel. I feel like that's something I'd rather see earlier. I want to see what James Gunn does with Batman, obviously. Like everyone loves Batman, but I hope it's Mr. Terrific.
The part of the marketing that I don't think is truly succeeding is getting people who are newbies or not familiar with excited. Let's just use Mr. Terrific. I don't feel like it's getting people who don't know who Mr. Terrific is truly excited to see Mr. Terrific. And they don't need to.
I think it's conscious. I think they're afraid of showing too many other characters in screen time volume to I think everyone leading up to the movie is like, there's 85 people in this. I think the trailers have to be 90% Superman, and therefore there's only 10% of other people to share, so there's no backlash.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of like promotion around the other characters that are in there. Like you and Andrew talked about all the posters.
Yeah.
Which I understand they're releasing all these character posters, but I haven't heard much enthusiasm around like, oh, it's like you got to do that sell with the like Guardians of the Galaxy. People don't know who the Guardians are, but that's the focus of the movie. So it's a very different ask of what I'm bringing up. My point is though, that I think after people watch Superman, they're going to be really excited for more Mr. Terrific. Just like, John Cena was a sell for Peacemaker, but no one's really excited for Peacemaker in Suicide Squad.
But then we showed why.
Yes, yeah.
Like you proved your point. You validated that choice. And I think Mr. Terrific is also something that's going to be kind of, I'm trying to say this fondly. The world right now needs to value intelligence. So I think it's a good character for 2025, 26, 27. I think Reed Richards and Mr. Terrific both being characters whose superpower is largely intelligence is a good thing for children in an age of burning books and getting rid of education. And these movies are, if anything, supposed to be something that inspire us to do better. I can't learn to fly. I can learn to read better. So I feel like if we're going to encourage kids, Mr. Terrific is a great character for kids to go, that guy invented stuff and he donated it and he wants to make the world better because of his mind. Like Batman, kids want to be Batman because he doesn't have powers. Mr. Terrific's a smart guy. I think we need Mr. Terrific right now.
I think that's why Iron Man works so well.
100%.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's like, I shouldn't be a warmonger. I should use my billions and also my smarts to build and help. I think that's what we need more. And I feel like Iron Man started a universe because of that.
And that's
and
why Batman can lead the Justice League because he uses his brains.
Exactly. He's thinking so far ahead. And I think Mr. Terrific is going to play that kind of role to the point where it also wouldn't necessarily make sense bringing Batman yet. Because you've got one. You've got a great guy that's doing all smarts. So I mean, I'm biased.
And that's where I think Captain America Brave New World failed.
100%.
I don't think you need to show Sam being able to take on the Red Hulk. I think if you do show how he uses his intelligence and his strategy. And because I rewatched Falcon and Winter Soldier in preparation for Thunderbolts, and I
was wondering why it was on your mind so heavily.
I loved it. I loved it way more on the rewatch, and I didn't realize people talk so much about Thunderbolts being about mental health, and I'm like, well, the Falcon and Winter Soldier is like,
this whole phase has been,
yeah. That show is the focus is about mental health for all three of the main characters in there, and there was so many key moments where I'm like, that's what makes Sam Captain America. That's what makes Sam Captain America.
I did not feel the movie capture,
but the movie doesn't capture, and I was thinking, why didn't you just give Sam a team to lead in there? Because like you don't, yes, he doesn't have the super soldier serum, but he's got the intelligence. He's got the ability to connect with people.
He's a
got
leader,
strategy.
he's a tactician.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to see these characters get the time to flex and do.
Yeah.
And you can't do that in a movie where you're sharing, you're not build. You're in a Superman movie. He's going to have awesome moments, but what could a Mr. Terrific movie be? Yeah. And again, I want Batman, but I don't think I think DC Comics is literally named, I mean, it's Detective Comics. Like, that's what DC stands for. But that's also been a problem for DC because they've been so Batman heavy. I love that I get 12 Batman books a month. I love as a comic fan that I could read one where you've got Damian Wayne, one where you've got Jason Todd, one where you've got like Tim Drake, he's back, one where you've got, I love that. But I do think that also makes people think, oh, DC's just Batman. I think it would make more sense if you're trying to grow a universe to not do that. Just like I think it shouldn't be Wolverine and the X-Men. It should be the X-Men, bring in Wolverine later. I think Batman is DC's Wolverine. And I think you hold him back or you put him in the Pattinson universe and let that be your Batman for a little bit. And then you add a second one. But if it happens, I'm not going to be mad because I love Batman. So like worst case scenario, World's Finest, I'm stoked because I get a World's Finest and it's an and not a versus. And that's what I want to see more. I also think I'm part of the problem. I'm afraid I started this rumor. I did a thing with David and we literally, David and I were posing and we were like doing a bunch of superhero poses. And at one point we decided to do World's Finest. And there's literally me describing that moment going, and yeah, we were like, let's do World's Finest. And a bunch of the fan sites picked up David Cornset says, let's do World's Finest. But they didn't say it was to some dude wanting to pose. So all the internet was like, David Cornset says, let's do World's Finest. And that's not what the quote was. It was about a pose. So I'm also afraid that people have been like, obviously this is the most obvious choice. But I'm afraid people have been hearing it more and more and more. And now it's like,
well, I think James Gunn's got his finger on the pulse on exactly what you just said about there's too much of a reliance on him, which is kind of weird to say when there's Superman is the strongest meta-human, the god, and the other face of DC. Like they're two equal faces of DC, but there is this kind of over-reliance on Batman where they've oversaturated Batman, I think, you know, with the Michael Keaton one, the Pattinson one, and then they were, there's like another one they were doing, right? I don't know, there's like a point where I remember we did one video, like here's all the upcoming Batman properties.
Yeah.
They really rely on Batman too much.
I think Wonder Woman before Batman. I think Holy Trinity, but go Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. And I love Batman.
Yeah.
But I would go that way.
I think they need people to crave Batman. That's why I think the delay of Batman Part 2 is really good. Because it makes you miss Batman. And there was a point where there was too much Batman.
And if we come back with two Batman, one that's very comic-y and Justice League centric, and one that's a detective that's doing like grounded stuff, I think that's a benefit to all of us. But make us want it. I agree.
What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, please.
Well, hello again, Huel, H-U-E-L, today's video sponsor. Lately, I've been loving talking about Huel because I've used it as an excuse to give you guys updates on my fitness journey. Back in January of this year, I was 218 pounds. Last time I weighed myself, I'm down to 179. But this time I decided to take a fancy picture. Close to the mirror. Good lighting. And I did have to flex, but I'm making progress. I'm almost at the six-pack. Look at it. Almost at the six-pack. It's almost 40 pounds down, and one of the biggest game changers for me has easily been by staying consistent with healthy go-to meals such as Huel's Black Edition Ready to Drink. As a matter of fact, I just shot a video with Andrew and Aaron this morning. Both came without having had any breakfast, and of course they were hungry. First thing they did, they got themselves a Huel in the office fridge, baby. Because I bought plenty. It's a complete meal in a bottle, man. It is tasty. It's packed with over 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, slow-release carbohydrates, and low sugar, plus fiber. No prep, no cleanup, just grab it, go, shoot a reaction or whatever else you do. Yeah, whether I'm filming, working out, or frankly too tired to cook, which is pretty much every day, this bottle's been a lifesaver. It actually tastes good too. My favorites are like the main ones, the chocolate and the vanilla, but I also really do like their strawberry banana. I also got iced coffee. And when in doubt, you can always go with the variety pack if you don't know which one you want. And at under $5 a meal, it's helped my routine and my budget. And now to be able to provide for the host here. Huel's already sold over 500 million worldwide. And if you're looking to eat better, stay on track, or just stop skipping meals, you've got to try this. So if you'd like to support the channel and support your body, new customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com/rejects with code REJECTS. Once again, Huel.com/rejects, code REJECTS, 15% off and a free gift. Minimum $75 purchase. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled.
Sci-fi extremist. He's saying, with Superman being 3 years in and the superhero world already existing, what's one bit of continuity reference you hope we get in Superman? I.e. the Batman of Gotham still at large, Army pilot Steve Trevor missing, scientists in Central City survive lightning strike. Do you get where he's going with this?
I do. I like these. I know they're going the billionaire route because we've already seen Stag, we've seen Luther Core, and we've seen Maxwell Lord Tech. We've seen 3 billionaire like world establishing things. So I think Wayne is almost a shoe-in. Whether or not we hear of anything with the Batman, I think Wayne Tech is going to be a piece because it feels important to the world they're building out. I would love, and I don't know if they'll do it, but I think it'd be really cool since Heroes have been around so long if they do a Hal Jordan younger movie down the line and they reference Hal Jordan's adventures leading up to. So like we get Guy Gardner, but I'd love if Hal Jordan's already established because he's
like
Kyle
a period
Chandler's
piece.
Yeah, like how cool would it be to do an 80s Hal Jordan movie? Like with like a de-aged Kyle Chandler or something, like with bookends of the modern one. But like I'd love some of the characters we're gonna introduce as older with reference to their legacy. I think if you're doing a 300-year thing, how cool would it be if Wonder Woman's been around 300 years? They did that with 84, but like they could go so much more godlike and powerful. So I would establish that some of these characters have been around for a really long time, and I would do Hal, I would have Wonder Woman. So those kind of references. I think it'd be cool to do Booster Gold as a time traveler because he's a time traveler. Like he comes back. I would also love an early to mid 80s Booster Gold movie where he's from our day, but he time travels and like he's basically a TikToker in that age. Like he's like a showboat, but in the 80s it's like broad shoulders and like being cool, but his technology is like, our modern, but back then that'd be crazy. So I would play with the 300-year thing with time and lace in these little Easter eggs so that you're world building, but don't make it too much of a weight on Superman. Make it something that you could explore in a later movie, but you don't have to.
I think he already did that with Creature Commandos.
100%.
I mean, he started off with the people of Themyscira or something.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch the show. I already forgot how most of it goes, but they had the Batman little shadowed, obscured cameo. Yeah, a villain whose origin is very much deeply seated in there, and then they had Clayface show up.
Yeah, who's gonna get his own thing, and we also had the tie-in between Rick Flag and his son established, and Rick Flag is everywhere. Like, we're getting Rick Flag in everything going forward. Like, that we know of. Like, Peacemaker, he's out. Superman, he's out. He's already been in Creature Commandos.
Do you think they're going to try to keep anything from the DCEU still existing? Because I know they've had the thing with Amanda Waller and
the Peacemaker trailer. They had 2 Peacemakers.
So, yeah, the theory is that it's like a multiverse thing that's going to
I think ironically, Marvel is going to end their multiverse stuff because it got too heavy. I think DC is going to be able to do... let's look what worked and launch from messy multiverse. Like, I think Peacemaker is going to somehow utilize a multiverse thing, but I haven't seen it yet. But I mean, the trailer implies it heavily enough that I can see that being a factor.
And do you want any specific hints of other superheroes in the Superman movie, like what he's talking about? The way, I think
Booster Gold.
Didn't
I really want Booster.
Some type of Booster Gold reference?
Yeah, because I feel like he is so topical. I feel like the movie's about like heroes that have already been established, and also they seem to be working for billionaires. Booster Gold being a hero that does stuff for likes is the most James Gunn topical. Like, it feels so right for right now. So I would love if he gets like a mention before we meet him. I feel like if you're going to world build, I don't want too many heroes. We've already got enough. And maybe like a couple more we don't know about so we get surprises. But I don't want there to be like a Justice League that is fully formed waiting to be announced. That'd feel like a lot.
Very true. I mean, that would be the mistake of the last DC iteration.
And I feel like they've learned from that.
Let's hope so.
And Constantine.
You would want a Constantine reference?
I want Constantine so bad.
Did you like the Keanu Reeves one?
I like it as an Elseworld. Yeah, actually, this is going to make and upset the same people. They're going to make it happy and upset them. The way I feel about Man of Steel, I think it is an exceptional version of the character that isn't how I see the character. I think it's a well-made movie. I think it's a Superman, but it's not how I see Superman. I feel the exact same way about Constantine. I think it's an exceptional take. I think it's awesome. It's exciting. That's not the character to me. I love Keanu Reeves. I have worked with the man out of sheer admiration and like willpower. I willed that to exist. I love the dude. But the way I see the character is not that. So it's kind of like Man of Steel, where it's like, I'd love to see a comic accurate one now. And we can have both because of the way the multiverse works. So if they're going to do a Constantine 2, I'd love for you to call that Constantine 2, but give me a Hellblazer. I would love a Hellblazer thing that actually feels like a British guy that you would not want to run into in a pub that kind of smells, but he's charming in his own way. Like, I want a scuzzy dude to be him. And it's Keanu Reeves. So you love the guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's too likable.
I enjoy that Constantine movie a lot, while also acknowledging it is not like comic accurate comics.
You can have both, right? Like, that's, I think, how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun movie. He was in the DC shows, and he had his own DC show for a little bit, or was it like an NBC show that he came to the DC universe? Is that
and
what
then
they did?
He came over when there was a merger, like because
That was accurate.
That guy was great, and he did the voice for a while. Matt Ryan, I think is his name.
Yes.
But like, I think Keanu's friend Norman Reedus is closer. Like, I want a guy that's a little greasier and a little like, why did that girl just sleep with that guy? Like, I want the guy to be like, I don't trust him, but we need him. And Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves. He's the one.
I trust James Gunn to take notes in a way that reminds me of like Quentin Tarantino. As a fan of Quentin Tarantino, a lot of times he'll have these movies that he says that he loves, but people really don't like. I remember one time there was a year of his favorite movies of the year, and he put The Lone Ranger on when everyone hated The Lone Ranger that year. And he often does that. He'll love a lot of things that a lot of people don't. In fact, so much of his earmarks in films like Kill Bill are from movies that are considered schlocky or cheesy, B movie, grindhouse. You know, he clearly embraces that, but then somehow he manages to make an amazingly audience critic, well-received film. James Gunn really loved The Flash, and I feel like that was genuine. A lot of people don't, and there's a lot of weird multiverse stuff in there, and there's like that whole Superman thing at the end or all the cameos at the end that was really bizarre. And I think he really did love that experience and movie and consider it one of the greatest comic book movies. Those were his words. And I see him as the kind of person who can mine what he loves from that and make something that more people will actually love. Yeah. So when
he's
we're
a trauma guy. Like, he's a guy that came from like that kind of film. Like Grindhouse and Trauma remind me a lot of each other.
So when you're talking about potentially doing some multiverse stuff, that might sound fatigue-like or exhausting for people. Or didn't they just do that? I think James Gunn will be able to do it in a way that is accessible and people like.
Yeah, he came up with the Infinity Stone movie version in like an afternoon.
He did. People forget that.
Like on a whim. Like, he's like, let's just do this, and like now it's the basis of the MCU.
Yeah. All right, we got Ken Karkin here saying, are there any alternate costumes you would want to see in the future for Superman? I personally would love to see that all-white mask one from All-Star Superman. Also, perhaps finally seeing Superman wearing Batman's costume. People want the Superman and Batman toe-to-toe. Yeah, I would like that Superman outfit where the big white suit one that he can combat like people with kryptonite. That way it makes him impervious to kryptonite.
I like the all black suit for the like recharge, like after he's been like, because it literally like solar powered the sun, all that stuff. So I like the all white. I like the all black. I'd love to get the mullet. That's my big wish list. I want Superman mullet. It's a majestic hair, and we've never seen it in live action except like Dean Cain, I think. But I want super mullet real bad. So I don't know if that's a costume, but that's my dream.
You think we could pull it off?
I think that David Cornsweet is jarringly handsome. And I think it takes someone that is so good looking that you're like, I think I could do that haircut because he did. And then you do it and you're like, I look awful. I think he's that kind of handsome. Like Brad Pitt. So many people try to dress like Tyler Durden and like shave their head or do Tyler Durden haircuts. No one should. But Brad Pitt pulls it. I think Cornsweet's that kind of guy. I think he could pull a mullet.
All right.
But it's a short list. And also the mullet's back, so all the kids are doing it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Another question that we got here is limited stressed. If DC decided to adapt Crisis on Infinite Earths with this new universe down the line, would you prefer they introduce new versions of multiversal characters to have complete narrative freedom? Or would you prefer they bring back characters from previously established DC properties with specific actors? What's your preference?
I think they shouldn't touch this for like a decade. But I think
when they do,
both. I think you need the reliance on your association. The beautiful thing about multiverse is when you bring in a character from a known universe, all of your memory and association with them is attached no matter whether you want it to be or not. That's my concern with Downey, but the benefit of Andrew Garfield. I didn't need to have seen Andrew Garfield in the last 15 years of Spider-Man because I love the character enough that when he became the Uncle Ben type character, it was very plug and play. It was like someone like...
But he wasn't playing Uncle Ben.
No, but he was filling in.
He was playing a mentor
role.
Playing,
he was playing a father figure that would have had experience instead of Peter Parker life, Spider-Man life. Yeah. And so both in this case. But like that wouldn't have worked if we hadn't had Andrew Garfield and his movies. And it wouldn't have worked without Tobey and his movies. So I think there is a need for full arcs in order to have the excitement of like, oh, this character and this character. But I also think you've got a 3-hour runtime, so you do need reliance on other films for that. Now, that I think that is often misquoted as nostalgia. It's not nostalgia unless it doesn't serve a narrative purpose. Nostalgia is like people misquoting cameo. Like a cameo is a quick moment. Supporting characters are different. Deadpool wasn't full of cameos. It was full of cameos and supporting characters. I think nostalgia isn't just using a character from a past movie if they've actually got a journey and a purpose. So as long as you use those characters in multiversal stuff in a well-written way, like Wesley Snipes or like Andrew Garfield, then that is a purpose to have like 5 Batmen. But you could also have Robert Pattinson, whoever they cast, and a couple of the old ones, and have it not feel bloated because you don't need to use the screen time.
Yeah.
So I do both because I'm greedy. And that's the point of the multiverse thing, is to be greedy.
I don't feel like it's fun unless it is a. The thing is, I don't think it needs to be littered with people we're familiar with. I think it kind of has to be. Like if they did a Flash one, I would want to see Grant Gustin appear.
100%.
You know,
but like Henry Cavill as Wolverine worked because that was a moment where we're like, if we didn't know who Henry Cavill was, we'd be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
So like you need both.
That's what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying like that, yeah.
Because I loved all the Wolverines we met that were Hugh Jackman. We get this one little pop of it. Why is it special? So I think you need an association with the actor as well as new ones.
Okay, well, I think we're talking variants versus characters, though, right? Like, I think a variant is a very different type of conversation versus if we've never, let's say we're opening up Crisis on Infinite Earths, and let's say at this point we've never seen, I don't know, a Nightwing yet. Let's say we haven't seen a Nightwing yet. That's where I think you could get a new person to play him. But if you're bringing in, let's also say, like, you haven't seen Wonder Woman yet in the DC universe. I feel like if you're going to the multiverse, people will want to see Gal Gadot. If you're going to the multiverse.
I agree.
Yeah.
It all depends on the association. And I think Peacemaker might deal with that, right? Because, like, he clearly, there's 2 of them in the trailer, so that'll be an effect.
Speaking of which, we have a Wonder Woman new movie being developed.
Yeah.
Who do you think could be the new Wonder Woman?
Arjona.
Yes, that is my pick. Yeah.
She's so good.
She is brilliant.
Like,
she is such a brilliant actress.
Andor showed her acting chops even more than everything else already has. She was already good at everything. But I worked there in the Morbius press tour, and I saw how much she cares about fandom, and that was for Morbius. Say what you will about Morbius. Sony toured that movie, and those actors went and played. She talked to everyone. She took her time. She really cared about the fandom. She's also someone who like interacts with fans, which I think is really beautiful, and I think you need that if you're going to play a character like Wonder Woman. She inspires little girls and little boys and grown girls and grown boys. Like, you need someone that's going to connect to people and not be at a con like, or like at a red carpet like, I'm not going to talk to you. I think it just happens to be a benefit, the Momoa of it all, but like, I think she's great.
I don't know how to say this. I'm going to try and fail. Let's go for that. Is that she's really good at not pissing people off. Like, she can play the way how there's like some actors, I'm like, they're willing to play men, and she's willing to play women and strong women without like taking down men, you know? Like,
yeah, there was no woke.
That's part of the conversation, I think, with Andor, when it came to there was a big, controversial debate about the assault moment in there, and I thought the way she handled it was so wonderfully done. I was like, damn, that's how you do it. That's how you nail it right there.
And I bought it. Yeah.
And you're right. The way she interacts with fans, I think, is really great. John and I did before Andor came out. We did some Zoom interviews, and I forget how most of my interviews in person and Zoom have gone down, but I really remember the time with her because she was taking all this extra time with us and asking in detail. The interviewer had to cut her off because she was having such a good time talking.
Yeah,
and she made as an interviewee, as the interviewer, made us feel very special.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why don't you do that with like people then?
She's also very committed to that moment of feeling special and keeping it like it's not an act. I was at the Twisters premiere, and she was there to support Glenn. And while I was there, I was waiting on the side, and she came over and said hi to me and talked about something we had talked about at Morbius, and that had been like a year. Yeah. So like, it's not special just to you, and she's like, I'm doing a thing being charming. She's actually invested, because I wouldn't have remembered that.
And I think she knows how to deal with serious subject matter in a way that feels genuine and not that she's reiterating talking points. And that is kind of hard to find when actors, the more they grow, will become so PR trained, or they're so self-conscious about what are they going to say that's going to get them in trouble? And it's so hard to navigate. I feel sorry for actors in that regard, because it's so difficult to navigate, Because it's one thing when Tom Cruise is asked about a tariff situation. He's like, let's just focus on the movie. And everyone's like, praise God for Tom Cruise. Like, that's an easy one. But when you do a movie or a show where it's part of the subject in that piece of art they are promoting, they have to be able to talk about it in some way. And she's really good at navigating that. So I feel like she's able to portray femininity. She's able to portray strength. I think she's super bad at, oh my God, her fucking role in that director you love, Richard Linklater. What's that movie? Hitman.
That's why she was a Twisters for Glenn. Yeah,
so good.
She's so captivating.
She was amazing in that movie.
And she also, and Wonder Woman needs all of that because it is inherently going to deal with subject matter that's going to piss off some people. So you need an actress.
That's my point.
I'm agreeing with you, and I was just going to elaborate that it's an island of women without men, and it's discovering the world of men. So a lot of men get very uncomfortable about that concept, like just in general. And it's also a character that's evolved over almost 100 years because it was written like S&M light. Like she gets tied up and bound, and that's tied into some of her powers. Like she's outgrown her origins. It's not.
That sounds like my
If
Wonder
you look
Woman.
into the origin of Wonder Woman,
Wow, but the wow.
the character's grown, I'll tell you that much. If you look into the origin of Wonder
I
Woman,
think it's gone backwards.
Yeah, way to regress into having your own ideas, woman in the kitchen.
Can we get that spandex even further into the cheeks, please?
Go back to the island of Wimian.
That swoop cut's not low enough.
But yeah, I think it's a character where you need to have those conversations or regresses back to a woman in tights with a bondage.
I just really feel Steve Trevor should have his Don Juan DeMarcos movie. He just shows up and he's getting laid left and right.
Tom Selleck as Steve Trevor.
James Gunn's Wonder Woman.
But Audrey Arjona would be great.
Yeah, she'd be great in that Wonder Woman movie too.
Both pitches.
All right, that's fun. What else we got here?
A head shake from Jasmine off screen.
I defended women. I did my best.
I said you could be in here, Jasmine. You cannot disagree with anything we say. Those are the rules.
Greg has a very strong seen and not heard rule. All right.
Daphner asking an interesting question here. Hello, Greg, Coy, and John. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. With DC starting to kick off their movies, and many of them before being very Earth-based, are there any locations you hope they would premiere on the big screen that we have not seen yet? It seems like Superman's going to do that, or some type of weird Minecraft world. I'd love to see a movie based around Scott-Free escaping apocalypse of Barda, or Superman discovering the Phantom Zone, or traveling in space to different planets. That's a very big likelihood. I think you got to get General Zod in the Phantom Zone. That's like a cliche of Superman. That's an honor.
Supergirl takes place all over the cosmos. Our next movie.
Yeah, and to wrap up his comment, a Superman that's more aware of his symbol on a galactic level could be a cool approach to this new iteration of him, and how his presence is noticed on a grander scale, like how they did in Snyder's Justice League.
We saw lots of spaceship stuff in this new trailer, and we saw a cosmic moment, like or two.
And my man Gunn loves the cosmic.
He does. I mean, Guardians is not terrestrial for the most part.
They wanted him to run the cosmic side of Marvel for a while.
That was the original, like, kind of. And also, you'll notice after Guardians, Marvel was like, that's good. They went very cosmic. So I feel like that's what he wants to do. I think that Lanterns is going to start terrestrial and then can go to space. I think, space cops. I think Supergirl is a space opera. Like the movie itself is globe hopping globes. Like it's going to go all over different places. Lobo is so that all of this, like the painting we've gotten so far is more cosmic than terrestrial, but I think it's smart to have your first two things, three if you count Peacemaker. Yeah, Peacemaker's three. Superman, Peacemaker, Lanterns, starting grounded and then expanding out so we can kind of get a grasp, and then you can go crazy cosmic because that's DC.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for the question. Noah Beltran's asking, as Marvel ramps up for Doomsday and DC kicks off with Superman, do you all believe there's a real chance of a true equal clash of high-quality projects between the two that consumers can only benefit from?
100% exactly those words. I think we only benefit when both are doing well. I think competition is how you get
You think we only benefit when both are doing well?
I think if one starts to dip, then it becomes like, oh man, say DC is glorious and Marvel puts out a bunch of Love and Thunders, then it's going to be a conversation of like, oh, it's DC's time. Too bad Marvel dropped the ball, and like conversations of DC being superior because Marvel's not there to compete, or Marvel not competing because DC took over. But if they're both doing well, then it becomes a conversation of like, man, it was crazy. In the fall, we had this, and then we have this, and then the box office comes back, and people actually go to the theater for multiple. Like, the tent poles are keeping the mini films open. Like, anytime Scorsese says anything about these things killing cinema, it kills me because I love Martin Scorsese, but these are how the theaters stay open. If we have 2 movies a year do well, and that's it, say DC puts out 2 to 3 movies a year, that's only going to do so much. If we have 3 Marvel movies and 3 DC movies do well, that's 6 guaranteed giant oomph that keep the rest of the things lit. I think it only benefits. And it also makes for competition. Like, you'll hire even better writers. You'll give your visual effects team a little longer. You're in competition for the best actors. When you have sports teams do well, there's competition. It's at the Olympics. Once someone beats a record, it's crazy how suddenly everyone's beating that record. But until you see the opportunity, you think it's impossible. I think these both are going to change the landscape because they're both going to be exceptional.
That's why I've been bringing up Tom Cruise for the way he promotes the industry as a whole, the community of cinema as a whole. And I've been really more in tune with it because I know a person who was the runner-up to direct the new Karate Kid movie that came out. It was like down to him and I think the guy who actually directed it. And of course he didn't get the movie. And when it was getting bad early word of mouth, I was like, ha 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 ha, you're not texting him. And then as you're talking, he's like, well, I hope it does do well for the whole of the industry. And I was like, oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Man. I was like, this will be fun. We're not going to because it's doing bad.
Absolute comics are helping Marvel comics.
But it did flip my mentality, and I was realized, I was doing it on a small scale with Karate Kid, but now imagine on a big scale for something like Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Cruise has really been as championing of the film, like the savior of cinema. I thought it was kind of funny at first, the way he was being the poster boy for that, with Top Gun Maverick doing well and such. But it's so much more than him doing a Top Gun Maverick or a Mission Impossible. It is the way he is trying to unify it as a whole on all threads. And you're right. I think with DC and Marvel, it brings me the exact pinpoint, I think, is when BVS and Civil War came out, how they were very similar in topics, even in the types of film they were trying to achieve at the time. And then Batman v Superman was really not well received whatsoever. And where Civil War was really praised. And it became exactly what you said.
And that's what I don't want.
Yeah.
And I also think Absolute Comics are doing amazing, but people going...
I haven't read any of those, but they're constantly promoted to me.
Because they're so good.
They are good. They are worth reading. I haven't read any of them yet.
Absolute Martian Manhunter is only on issue 3, and it rocked me so much it might be my favorite now. Absolute Batman is everyone's favorite. It's Batman. It's awesome. It's exciting. It's big and crazy. Wonder Woman is the biggest swing, I think, because instead of being from paradise, she's from hell. Oh, so cool. Instead of Paradise Island, she was raised in hell with demons. So it's this really metal, awesome take on Wonder Woman. So the idea is Absolute Comics are another take, but they change one major thing. Batman doesn't have billions. Batman's a working class guy. He's a blue collar Batman. So, and he's friends with a lot of the villains, which is interesting. He knows the guys. So anyway, the Absolute Comics are all doing well, and all of those comics bring people to comic stores. I've talked to a number of comic store owners that said their Marvel books are doing better because the DC books are bringing people in. And then the average consumer doesn't go, oh, Spider-Man, but I'm buying Absolute Batman. They go, oh, cool, Spider-Man comic. It only helps when they all do better. And if people are busy commenting on our videos going superhero movies are for kids, or they're so done, or haha, Marvel's dead, that's not helping anyone. But if DC and Marvel both do well, then it's, oh man, we're back. I'm so excited to see these movies together. So I think art doing well always benefits art. I think art doing poorly is always bad for art. Period.
I agree. Good points all around, as per usual, Coy. And let's get another couple more in here. Okay. Last two. Matthew, in a recent Deadline article, Laura LaFranc said there were in early stages of other spin-offs of the Batman universe. Who would you like to see her bring to life on the small screen?
Catwoman.
A show?
Zoe Kravitz and everything, always.
You would like the way they did Penguin?
Yeah, I mean, I think her character's so rich. I think we only got a taste of her in The Batman. I think much like The Batman, it'd be great to see a character we have met. So there's an investment. You do need the business side of oh, I'm excited. Catwoman's a great sell. I think Zoe Kravitz did a very slept on high fidelity show. I'll never forgive you, Hulu. That didn't get enough viewership, but I feel like she's, especially with the studio and stuff, she's kind of found her footing. Like, I feel like she's much more known than 5 years ago, and I think that's a cool opportunity.
She's the sister of
exactly. So you've got all the
character.
You've got all the Lord Falcone.
Yeah, Sophia.
Strangling. But yeah, there's that lore. You've got that teased at the end of the Penguin with the character. We've got the family struggle there. If you want to do something in budget, you want things more grounded. Catwoman doesn't have powers, and she's tied into the crime element of Gotham, so you could grow your Gotham out. So I would. If we're dealing with Matt Reeves' universe, I want crime to be a character. I want Gotham to be a character. I want it to be within budget. Catwoman's all those things. So I would want a Zoe Kravitz show out of selfishness and storytelling.
You know what I want out of selfishness is not really answering the question directly. After watching The Actor on Actors with Colin Farrell and Danny DeVito, I'm like, if they could do some magical
He said he wanted to do it.
Doing it.
That was such a weird conversation.
I thought it was an amazing. I was like, I didn't know these two like had chemistry, and I had no idea the way they're the constant talk over each other and the way they can interrupt and listen to each other. And sometimes they'll be like, there was one point I remember where Danny DeVito kept on talking while Colin Farrell kept interrupting, but he wasn't letting him interrupt
each other.
Yeah, but then Danny DeVito once in a while take a second to answer. I'm like, wow, they really get along very well.
I did not like Dumbo, but I'm happy for it because of
I didn't even remember
Colin
Farrell's in Dumbo. I didn't like
worth
what
it for that conversation. They're and the fact that Colin Farrell was such a fan of the Penguin growing up, I've been fortunate to run into Colin Farrell a few times in professional settings, and he, before he was in The Batman, was a Batman fan. So I've talked to him about Batman, and I remember him being so excited about what the Batman world was growing and all this stuff. And then to have him become Penguin, and then to see him with Penguin and his childhood Penguin, I know he's such a Batman fan that inside I was like, I can't imagine being an actor to Colin Farrell's level and then getting to sit down with someone as a peer that was also a childhood idol. That'd be so surreal to be like, this is an act. I don't know. I was so happy for both the dudes.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I were to go off into the Batman universe, I would. I was actually really excited about the Arkham Asylum show. I think you could do something that's really psychologically crazy with that. We got some teases of it, but in Penguin, but that was more like a real bad psych hospital. I want something that feels a little bit more heightened, which I know is not the Matt Reeves universe. But from what Matt Reeves has said, it seems like he's willing to teeter a little bit.
Yeah, I think you could push the limits up.
Like a Hugo Strange, if he's
100%.
One of the main characters in there. Let's say he's like the central villain of the Arkham Asylum show for whoever we're following inside of as the main patient. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I'd like there was talk of GCPD and Arkham, and then that became Arkham, but I'd love something where it's like a commentary on the two madhouses, and one of them's the police station, one of them's the actual madhouse, and the inner turmoil of both, because all those cops are crooked, and then the prisoners and stuff. I'd love a parallel show.
I mean, my dream Batman scenario would be that you build up the Bat family, and then you end the Batman villains, and then you end with a Batman Arkham Asylum movie.
Incredible.
Because the Arkham Asylum comic is a classic.
You could do 10 movies leading to that.
But instead you could kind of expand upon it. So that way it becomes the final movie is really a psychological deconstruction of Batman and Bruce Wayne and seeing what each villain represents.
I've always talked about the psychology thing that I want to see on screen, but we'd have to get there. It'd be like a 10 movie, maybe shows and movies to get there.
1,000%.
But I want it.
It would be cool. And plus there'd be some sweet action and batarangs.
Yeah.
And grappling hooks. And Alfred in his ear.
Yeah.
Who would definitely still be alive.
100%. He's alive for this.
He's just so old.
I want Poison Ivy so bad.
A frail man in the Batcave.
Master Bruce.
Let me retire, Master Bruce.
Please. I'll just make a sandwich.
I'm so old.
I'm so tired. MI6 was 80 years ago. But that said, Poison Ivy I want in the James Gunn universe because I want a very comic-y Poison Ivy, and I feel like we're due. I wouldn't want a show of her in the Matt Reeves verse. I'd love a show or movie of her in the James Gunn verse.
1,000%. Well, that's it for the questions here. Whole DC roundup.
Big one. Yeah.
I think Superman is going to dominate Marvel. I think it's going to defeat Marvel It's going to beat
All
its
this talk of
ass to
unity
the ground.
just away.
That's why Pedro was sharing that shit.
He's like, oh, I need to make
It's
friends.
like, I need to like, really, what's the word? What's the costume? I need to be an opportunist right now.
You know, when I think of sweetheart Pedro Pascal, I think opportunist.
It's all an act. It's bound to happen.
Oh, he's such a sweet lad.
He's too sweet.
Too much.
We're bound to get the YouTube videos about how fake it is and how insincere. We just need one celebrity to come out, or not even like a real celebrity, someone who's like been on a show or some shit with him from forever ago, to say one thing, and then before you know it, we're gonna get the snowball effect.
I feel like he's our new Keanu.
Is.
I think he's our new Keanu. I think he's the new Angel Boy.
No, there's two people who are untouchable: Conan and Keanu. Pedro is not going to be the third. Keanu is not going to be the third.
Audience, is there someone else we're forgetting? I feel like there are other like beloved by all people, but those are definitely the two, Conan and Keanu. There's got to be more though. Are there?
No, Mr. Rogers, but he's gone now.
Are there? No, just that's it.
Just that,
End
man.
of list.
Just that. I just wanted to end this with a couple of just random questions then that have nothing to do with what we've been talking about. Game Night J14. First things first, happy birthday, John.
Correct.
Hey, thank you, Game Night.
I'm wishing all of you guys a great day. Second thing second, how do you guys feel about the resurgence of spoof movies in the near future? The Naked Gun requel, Scary Movie 6, and Spaceballs 2, which was announced today. Are you looking forward to or dreading the effects this may have on movies in general?
Do you want to go first?
Please.
I think it's a benefit. I think that we need levity. I think that those movies have a huge audience. I think that if they're good, they bring out a wide array of people. Like, it's not for just one type of person. They bring out a lot of people. I worked at the movie theater for Scary Movie 3 and 4, maybe even 2. I was at a movie theater for a long time, and they were always giant audiences, and they buy concessions. Like, it's a crowd pleaser movie, and we need more of those to keep the theaters open for smaller films. So I think it's a great thing, and I would love Don't Be a Menace to South Central. We're drinking juice in the hood too.
I'm going to say something that's cynical that I don't really feel is that but it would be if I didn't reveal that, it would be the greatest thing ever. That it sounds sort of like they are becoming the thing that that these spoof movies are making fun of in a way, because the fact that they're not creating it's like a nostalgia for spoof movies. It's kind of bizarre.
It is interesting.
They're not doing some new category of spoof movies. Like the last time that I think that happened was the Marlon Wayans ones, right? The Haunted Mansions. Those were like found footage.
I think you're right.
Haunted House, yeah.
Haunted House, yeah. People associated them with Scary
With that
Movie.
era of that, yeah.
But that I think was the last time we did that.
And superhero movie didn't do well. It was too soon, and it wasn't as good.
But I think the cool thing is, though, about bringing this stuff back, Scary Movie 6 definitely has stuff they could do. With the way horror has become so prolific.
They could do a Blumhouse one, just Blum.
Yeah, have Megan throw up or dance and get kicked in the crotch.
The problem with Megan is it's already so campy. How do you spoof it?
Some shit like that. Spaceballs 2, well, what Star Wars has devolved into. And Spaceballs talks so much more than just Star Wars. It was a commentary on the industry.
At the time, yeah.
And apparently there's some teaser that came out that I have not seen. It's like a crawl text that's like 2 minutes long. Haven't seen it.
There's also a Kung Fury 2. Which was a commentary on like those things.
It's not like Shell. I didn't they make it, but it hasn't been released. I thought that was one of those cases.
I just saw a frame of Michael Fassbender, and I was like, please, that's all I know.
I thought they made that a long time ago, but they made some rights issue.
I feel like that's a spoof adjacent, right? That's like a commentary film.
Whereas Naked Gun requel feels like what Seth MacFarlane wanted to do, because cop movies are not a thing. Like
not as much.
Like what Naked Gun's so specific, and it was such a product of its time. And it's great though. Like imagine they did like an airplane. Why? Yeah.
But Naked Gun, I think, is going to be a commentary on the time, not the genre. I agree.
Yeah, which is very Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, like Fletch should have done better. Did you see the John Hamm Fletch movie?
No.
They tried to bring that like Fletch tone back, and no one saw it.
But I saw the Naked Gun trailer in the theaters, and there was one moment that the OJ moment got a big laugh at him, and the whole crowd a big laugh. It's a really good butt.
It's a good audience thing, though. Yeah. I think those kind of movies are good for audiences.
Absolutely. Hopefully people like it. Liam Neeson's so funny.
So funny.
Ted, that's my favorite scene from Ted 2. That's like,
that's
actually the only scene I remember from Ted 2 is when he's buying the Lucky Charms. Yeah. That was such a funny moment.
I love Ted 1, but Ted 2 wasn't it for me.
Michelle R. Happiest birthday wishes to you, John.
Thank you, Michelle.
If you can make one horror movie birthday wish and it would come true, what would it be? Hope that whatever wish you do when you blow out your birthday candle comes true. John, you want us to hear?
A horror movie birthday wish? I guess I
Come
would
on,
have
John,
to wish
close-
for
John,
something from a
Close this out, John.
kid-friendly
John,
horror
get over.
movie.
Get
John,
over.
we're good on camera. It's your
I would
birthday.
wish to be. Oh, I see what
Come
you mean.
over.
I see what you mean.
If you're gonna monkey paw us, we gotta see you.
Close this out, John.
Yeah, this is John Rapp, birthday boy. Tell me a story.
All right, horror movie wish. I mean, I feel like that's a really loaded prospect because
Doesn't
you know
bode
if you
well for
wish
us.
for like what are you going to wish for that's not going to end in imminent misfortune? I would say, because I think it might have factored into the Goosebumps movie, you get like the typewriter that like creates whatever you type.
Nice.
The thing I would wish to be real so that I could type up.
Okay.
You know, like you got to be careful because it's still a bit of a monkey's paw, but you could also, I feel like, use that for not terror and awfulness.
Okay. I feel like that's a very useful tool. I feel it's very altruistic until it's not.
Or I wish to try the barbecue from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh. Is
Or-
that human?
You could be, and I need to test it to find
Okay,
out,
let us know.
basically.
Yeah, because
That-
I was like, wait a second. Those
or
lamps.
how about Sinners, I want to be in the garlic scene. That's my wish. Because I would
Oh.
win that test. I was like, give me the jar, I'll take the whole thing.
Oh, I like that version of it. I didn't think of that. Like, put yourself in a movie and what's your wish? I like that
Yeah.
more than like a Stephen King thing.
I'd want Haley Steinfeld to spit in my mouth.
That is the wish.
When you paused
That
on
is
when
the
you paused
wish.
on the S for spit, I was like, this can go 5 ways. None of them are appropriate,
was
and
gonna
that was
say.
maybe my favorite. That was a great landing.
I was going to say.
Spit in my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Let's see. I wanna have one too. A horror movie. I would love to spend a day in the school from the faculty.
Yeah.
I
Good call.
wanna like live Invasion of the Body Snatchers 90s high school. It would solve my nostalgia, and also it'd be fun to like Jon Stewart as a teacher that's also an alien.
And then you could pass the tweaker test.
Yeah.
And get your pen.
Yeah. Jordana Brewster for delay. That's a great question.
What about G? Do you have one? Do you have a horror movie wish? You're a
Haley
horror movie
Steinfeld.
head.
He already Haley Steinfeld.
He got the spit.
He
That's-
gave us
that's
the best
fair.
one.
All right. That's
Happy
for me.
birthday, John.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the birthday wishes from you guys chiming in out there in the ether as well. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to surrender the mic now and go back to obscurity. Fade.
All right, happy birthday, John. Thanks for being here. The podcast is done.
Bye.